Hello everybody and welcome to part 2 of the video on question 2 on paper 1 of the AQA GCSE English language exam. Now at the end of part 1 we looked at this question, how does the writer use language to describe the atmosphere in the port of Dover? And we discussed how we were looking for words and phrases in the extract in order to answer this question, and this was the extract that I gave you to have a read through. So this is the flowchart structure that I would suggest for each paragraph of your answer, and I would suggest writing 3 of these flowchart paragraphs for your answer in full. So if you look at it, I've colour coded it, and your point is in purple, your quote is in like a pinky purple, and your explanation is in green. So if we break that down a little bit further, we need to start our answer with a discourse marker. We need to make sure that we explain to the examiner what word class our word is in the quote that we've chosen. So that's what we've done there with the technique. And I would also suggest taking an adjective to describe the type of word that you are going to analyse. Okay, and I will show you an example of this to make it clearer. So we have our discourse marker. We explain what type of word is in the quote that we've chosen. We explain what that word or phrase shows. We put our quote in, and then we need to die. So we need to define what the word or phrase is, so explain what it means. We need to imply, so we need to explain what do the word or words suggest or infer, and we need to explain about the effect on the reader. Okay, so it's actually simple point, quote, explain with a little bit of a sprinkle added in with regards the word class and the adjective to describe the word that you've chosen, and I will explain that in just a moment. So what I've done is I've read through that extract, and I've highlighted some of the answers that you could use in order to answer the question, how does the language describe the atmosphere in the port of Dover? So things you could have pulled out are the word foggy, the word a swarm with activity. So a swarm would be a very interesting word to describe and explain. You could discuss how the cars and lorries poured forth. You could explain sleeping low-lit streets threaded with fog. So there's actually more than enough within that very small extract in order to answer the question. And that just shows you really, when the examiner says get your answers from lines 1 to 10, for example, sometimes it feels like there isn't enough within that specified amount of lines to actually answer the question. But generally, if you're just doing 3 point, quote, explain paragraphs, there will be enough within that section in order to answer it, because you're just focusing on 1 or 2 words for each paragraph. So using our flowchart, what I've done is I've popped it into a paragraph structure so that you can see what that point, quote, and dies section actually looks like. So I've started with the discourse marker, like I said, and I've used the word firstly. And then I've actually answered the question in my own words. So I've said, firstly, Bryson uses several powerful adjectives within the extract to describe the atmosphere in Dover as being hectic. So the powerful adjectives is the bit where I've explained what the word class is, which is adjectives, and then I've explained what kind of word that is. So I've said they're very powerful adjectives. Then you need to put your quote in. So I've put, he describes the ferry as being a swarm with activity when they reached the port. So I've been sophisticated in the fact that I've used an embedded quote there. So I've used the quote to actually form part of my sentence. And now I need to define what the word, the adjective, a swarm means. So I've said the adjective, a swarm, informs the reader that the area is crowded and that the people are anxious to disembark the ferry. So I've actually just defined what the word a swarm means. Then here comes the most important bit. So you need to infer and suggest what that shows. So I've said it portrays a feeling of the situation being out of control and that the people are acting in a frenzied way, much like a swarm of bees. Okay, so this is really important for you to do this. So you're taking the word and then you're thinking about the connotations of that word, so what's inferred. And then I've actually offered an alternative or additional suggestion. So I've said it also suggests that Bryson is surrounded and is unable to escape from the situation. And then finally, I've talked about the effect on the reader. So I've said the use of the powerful adjective a swarm creates tension and adds to the dramatic impact of the extract. It creates a vivid image in the reader's mind of a packed ferry on which everyone is jostling for position. So I've really thought about what the word a swarm creates. What image does it create in the reader's mind, and why would the writer use that word instead of just saying it was really busy? They've actually used the word a swarm. So you really need to think about the effect on the reader as well. So what I want you to do is have a go on your own, really. So take the flowchart, think about the example that you've just been given, and have a go using another extract. So I've got an extract from a Sherlock Holmes novel, and the chapter is The Tragedy of Pondicherry Lodge. And this is available on my website as a download. Just head over to aceyourexams.wordpress.com. And what you need to do is look in detail at lines 54 to 66 of the source, okay? So make sure you just stick to those specific lines. So read through the whole extract to begin with and then stick to those specific lines. And you need to answer the question, how does the writer use language to describe how the characters are feeling? So you need to then think about any words or phrases within those lines that show how the characters are feeling. Okay, so this is the extract that you can get for free. Just head over to aceyourexams.wordpress.com. Okay, pause the video, have a go on your own, and then at the end of this video, in just a moment, I will give you an example paragraph for this question on this extract. Okay, so a sample paragraph to help you on your way if you're struggling is this one here, okay? And there will be a full marks sample answer for this question available as a download too on my website, aceyourexams.wordpress.com. So what I've done is, again, I've used my discourse marker and I've said firstly, and then I've answered the question in my own words. So I've said, firstly, the writer uses powerful verbs to describe how fearful the characters are. And then comes my quote. The characters are described as having thumping hearts. Okay, and then I've used just that simple word as a quotation embedded within my sentence, and then I've explained what is suggested by that word. So I've said the characters are described as having thumping hearts, which suggests that their hearts cannot contain the terror they are feeling. Furthermore, the verb, okay, so I've made sure I've got my word class in there. The verb thumping implies that something extremely painful is taking place. It is evident that after a period of increasing tension, the characters have now reached a pivotal point in the story. Something awful is about to happen. So I've done my define and my imply there, and now comes my effect. The reader is left with a feeling of uncertainty as to whether the characters will be safe or not. So if you look, I've done my point, I've done my quote, and then I've done my dies section. Okay, so I've done my define, imply, explain. So if you're struggling, go through, you can use this paragraph as part of your answer, and then you can download the full marks sample answer for this question in order to get a full overview of what you need to do for question 2 on paper 1. Okay, please stay tuned. There'll be a video for each question of the English language exam. You can head over to my website, aceyourexams.wordpress.com, for all of the free downloads. And make sure you follow me on Twitter at aceyourexams, because if you've got any questions, then I'm more than happy to answer them. Please stay tuned and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for listening.